So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So I hope you guys are keeping well. So guys, there's news, big news. Apparently Ryan Garcia could be fighting Gervonta Davis next. Now, this has been like debunked by Eddie Hearn, saying that, he feels that, Garcia isn't ready for Davis and he doesn't think the fight's going to happen with Davis. And the fact they're on two different networks, he mentioned that he doesn't think the fight's going to happen. And the Garcia and Haney fight is a lot easier to make. Listen, the Ryan Garcia v Gervonta Davis fight is building up beautifully. It's two guys with huge profiles. Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis are the biggest names in the lightweight division in terms of what they could do on pay-per-view, how many fans they have, how many followers, how many people know who they are, the attention around them, the stardom around them. It would be a massive fight. But I do agree with Eddie Hearn. I can't see that fight happening next. Would both parties risk, and especially De La Hoya, would he risk putting Ryan Garcia in there with Tank Davis? I do think Leonard Ellaby and Mayweather would be more willing, just because I think they think Tank is the better fighter, and Garcia looks quite vulnerable, and someone with Davis's power could be a problem, especially at this stage in Garcia's career. And then we saw vulnerability in his last fight against Luke Campbell. I don't know whether Oscar De La Hoya would be willing to put Ryan Garcia in there with Tank, if I'm honest with you. That's just my honest opinion. I might be wrong. Maybe De La Hoya is like, you know what, this is a new era, this is a new stage. We want to make the fight strike while the iron's hot. I just don't think, firstly, I don't think Ryan Garcia is ready for Gervonta Davis. I think he looks very vulnerable, and I think that fight would be very dangerous for Ryan Garcia. However, I do acknowledge the fact that Ryan Garcia is very tall, he's very fast, he's explosive, and Gervonta Davis is a lot smaller in terms of height. And that could be a problem with Garcia's style. But I just think it's too premature right now for him to be fighting Gervonta Davis. And I don't know whether Oscar De La Hoya, being a promoter, would be willing to take that risk. I just don't see that. I don't see that fight happening. I might be wrong, and maybe he says, you know what, I'm gonna put him in there. I believe he beats Gervonta Davis. I just don't see it though, because a year and a half ago, I know it's a year and a half ago, he was asked that question, and he said, nah, Ryan Garcia is not ready for Tank. Tank's a beast. Now, obviously, Ryan's moved on. He's just had a good win against Luke Campbell, even though he got dropped and looked vulnerable. However, is Oscar De La Hoya going to be a lot more brave now? I don't think so. I don't see that fight happening. I think the Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney fight is a much better fight for Ryan Garcia, because I believe Devin Haney's not a big puncher. And I think Ryan Garcia, with his movement, his speed, his explosiveness, could be a problem for Haney, because I don't think Haney's got any power at all. And I think what Garcia showed me in that fight against Campbell, he's vulnerable, but he's tough. He'll get back up and he'll fight on. I believe that Ryan Garcia has the power to hurt Haney. Plus, Ryan Garcia is a big lightweight. He's not a small dude. He's a big lightweight. So I would love to see Haney Garcia, just because I don't think Garcia Tank could happen. Now, they're acting like on social media, Ryan Garcia is acting like the fight's done and they're going to announce the fight soon. Is that just hype? Or is that actually true, and they are going to actually announce that they're fighting one another? I can't see it. I just don't, sometimes you get the feeling the fight's going to happen and the fight's not going to happen. I'm getting the feeling where I can't really see the Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia fight happening next. I think right now both sides would have their worries for that fight. Do they think that fight's that big right now? Do they think that fight can be built? The problem is, here's the problem. The lightweight division is so stacked that if you wait and look to marinate that fight, one of them could get beat, because the lightweight division is so stacked with talent. They're going to have to fight somebody. Ryan Garcia, after fighting Luke Campbell, is going to have to fight Linares. He's going to have to fight, Richard Comey. Those are fights that he could lose. Those are fights he could lose. So if you're going to lose, why not lose in a fight that's going to make you a lot of money, that's commercially a big fight, which is going to do good for your popularity in terms of getting you out there? Because there's no guarantee Ryan Garcia beats Linares. There's no guarantee Ryan Garcia beats Richard Comey. Those are hard fights for him. The lightweight division is so stacked. Outside of the big names, you know, the 5 big names, Loma, Haney, Lopez, Davis, or Garcia, of course. Outside of those 5 big names, there are other good fighters. Linares, you know, Comey, Kambosos. There's other good fighters, and I've just named a few. There's more. I'm probably missing out a few. There's others in the lightweight division that are very, very dangerous, right? So for me, I think you have to take the risk. I think there's too many sharks in the lightweight division for Ryan Garcia, and his next fight is going to have to be against one of those sharks. So if I'm honest with you, if I'm Oscar De La Hoya, would I take a risk? And let's not forget Campbell. There's Campbell. I know Garcia's already fought him and beat him, but Campbell's also a lightweight. He's a good fighter. There's too many sharks in the lightweight division. There's too many sharks. And I think if you're going to take a risk, you might as well take a risk against the best. Because Linares could beat Ryan Garcia. Linares could beat Gervonta. Linares is a very good fighter. He's a very, very good fighter. So this is what I'm trying to point out, that I think the lightweight division is so stacked that if you try marinating the fight, one of them could lose anyway. And then the fight goes out the window. So why not make it now? If one of them loses in a great fight, it's hardly going to damage their reputation. The problem is now, because of the Floyd Mayweather era, everybody's looking to pad up records. Everybody's looking to avoid fighting the best and pad up records and look to be undefeated. That's no good. That's no good. The fans want to see big fights. And I wouldn't want to see Ryan Garcia fight Linares and get beat, because I do think he could get beat to Linares. I know people say Linares is past his best, but yes, but Linares for me is a better fighter than Campbell. He's more dangerous than Campbell, right? In terms of punching power, in terms of speed. And yes, Garcia could also be dangerous for Linares at this point, but I still feel Linares is very dangerous. And just say if he loses to Linares, that hits his credibility, because he would lose to a guy that people would say is washed up. And for me, there's a chance he could lose against someone like Linares. So for me personally, I think De La Hoya and Mayweather need to make that fight right away, because I think there's too many sharks in the lightweight division. And if they're looking to marinate up that fight, they couldn't. One of them could lose anyway to somebody else. And why not make as much money as you can fighting one another? Because I believe the fight will do big numbers and it will do good. It will make some good money for both of them, right? Maybe it's not a fight that makes them the money that they think it might make them, because that's another thing. A lot of these kids now, because of their following and their fan base and the fact that Gervonta Davis has been on pay-per-view, they think that they deserve millions and millions and millions. And unfortunately, the business side and commercially, the fight's not that big that they can get paid 10, 12 million for that kind of fight. They need to be reasonable, but they think the perception those young guys have of themselves, they think they're big stars and they're owed 10 million. Like Lopez wants 10 million to fight Kambosos, and whatever his name is. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but to go to Australia to get 10 million to fight I don't get it. You know, so they have a very inflated opinion of themselves, these youngsters. So that's what may stop the fight happening, because the fight's not as big as what they think they are, and they're not as big as they think they are commercially, and they're asking for crazy money. So that, again, it could be a problem, and the broadcasters aren't going to be willing to lose money, you know. I'm pretty sure the broadcasters might be willing to pay them $4 or $5 million each, but would they be willing to take that money? Or would they be looking at, do they want 10, 15 million? And obviously that's not, neither guy is a world champion at lightweight. So I think it would be a big fight, but I think because of these youngsters and the inflated opinion they have in terms of themselves commercially, I think that might stop the fight. But I do think that it's a fight to make just because of how hard the lightweight division is. I think the lightweight division is full of sharks, and I think if they're gonna lose, they might as well lose to one another rather than lose to somebody else. That's the way I look at it, because I feel like Ryan Garcia could lose to anybody. He's got vulnerability there, definitely, from what we saw against Campbell. A fight with Linares, for me, I wouldn't be betting a lot of money on Garcia winning that fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. If I'm honest with you, I think it's a very, it's just let's see what Linares has got left. But again, Linares might have too much for Garcia. Linares, for me, is better than Luke Campbell. I know Luke Campbell did well, but that was a much fresher Linares. He did well, and that was a much fresher Campbell as well. So, you know, and let's not forget, after that, he fought Lomachenko, and that was a hard fight, went through that, and he lost that. So, Luke Campbell been in 2 hard fights after, you know, before he fought Ryan Garcia. So, Linares is obviously older, he's a bit past it now as well, but still, it's a dangerous fight. You know, it's a dangerous fight for Ryan Garcia. So why not, if you're going to go into a dangerous fight, a fight that you could lose, why not just make the fight with Davis? It's going to make more money than the Linares fight. There's more interest, and if Ryan wins, he's going to get more credit and more credibility for beating Gervonta than beating Linares. So if I was De La Hoya, I don't know. I think it's probably, you might as well strike where the iron's hot, because if you fight someone else and lose to them, then all of a sudden that fight goes out the window. So I don't know what they're going to do. It doesn't feel like the fight's going to happen next, but then you never know. There are big fights being made. There are promoters making moves now, because they know that in this current climate, we need to make big fights. So listen, man, let's see. Hopefully they can make the fight. I would love to see it. Although I think that I would have Davis winning, Ryan Garcia believes in himself, and he believes he'll knock Gervonta Davis out, and he may do. He's a bigger man. He's fast. He's got power. He may well knock Davis out. We just don't know, but it's an interesting fight. So I think they should make it next. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know your opinions about this fight. Who do you think wins? Do you think this should happen next? Do you think they should marinate it? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, don't forget, if you want to join my Facebook boxing group, leave a message, and I'll give you the instructions to join my Facebook boxing group, because my Facebook boxing group, I want to get all of my subscribers to get into that Facebook boxing group, so we have a community built up where we can talk about boxing, right? Leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.